The Arizona Diamondbacks came out of nowhere in 2011 to win 94 games and the NL West. With the season just a little more than a week away, Kirk Gibson's team is the sexy pick to again win the West and possibly more. Can the Diamondbacks surpass their 94 win total from a year ago? We'll toss that around on the latest edition of The Face-Off.
My name is Adam Green. This is Vince Marotta. We're a couple other writers on ArizonaSports.com. We're also baseball fans, though, and since the regular season, in our minds, I don't think it's officially started yet. Because the thing in Japan, that doesn't count, right? Can we agree on that?
No, it counts in the standing. Just because we couldn't see it at 2:30 in the morning doesn't mean it didn't happen.
All right, that's a face-off for another day.
Yeah.
But today we're going to talk about over-under Arizona Diamondbacks, 94 wins. Vince, what say you?
Surprisingly, I've been accused of being pessimistic in the past. I'm taking the over on this one. 94. First point of logic on this one. They won 94 last year. They snuck up on some people. I do realize they'll have the target on their backs this year. But they improved their roster. No key losses. They improved their starting rotation, obviously, by adding Trevor Cahill. They improved their bullpen. They had Jason Kubel in left. Plus, you get full years from Paul Goldschmidt and Aaron Hill, who had very good second halves of the season last year. I think that spells more than 94 wins.
I'm going to ask you something, though. How many times have the Diamondbacks won 94 games or more in their history, do you think?
Off the top of my head, 2 or 3?
Twice. One of them was last year. The other was 2002. They won the World Series in 2001 and did not win 94 games.
What does that have to do with this?
It's saying that to win 94 games, so much has to guard. You have a team with guys like Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling, and Luis Gonzalez who hit 57 home runs, and they didn't win 94 games. The Arizona Diamondbacks, yes, they're improved from last year's team, but so much went right last year to get to 94 with their record in one-run games, with their come-from-behind victories, that it's hard to expect that to happen. So even with all the improvements they've made, you got to expect a little bit of that to even out this time around.
Well, my second point goes back to an area where they really struggled 2 years ago, and that was in the bullpen. We saw leaps and bounds improvement last year in 2011 from the bullpen. It got even stronger this year. You add Craig Breslow, a left-hander who's actually not a left-handed specialist. He's very good against right-handers. You add Takashi Saito. You put them into the mix. Kirk Gibson now has the luxury of 2 left-handers in the bullpen, which is rare in Diamondbacks history. I can't remember that happening in the last few years. I think the bullpen gives Kirk Gibson more options. It's stronger than it was a year ago as well. Again, another sign that this team's going to increase that win total.
But if we've known one thing about baseball, and especially with bullpens, is that they can be a little finicky. From year to year, certain guys, when they have a career season, maybe the next year there's a little bit of a dip. J.J. Putz was great last season. Not exactly a pillar of health. If he goes down, can Hernandez step in and be as good as he was last year? Because he had a career season last year. Brian Shaw was money out of the pen. Patterson was money out of the bullpen. So yes, they added guys, but you do have to expect some sort of regression. And even more, and there's the Diamondbacks and what they've done. The rest of the NL West is going to be better this season. You can't discount the San Francisco Giants, who won the World Series just 2 years ago. They get Buster Posey back healthy. They still have Tim Lincecum. They still have Matt Cain. They are a really good team. And I think even then, the Los Angeles Dodgers, now that they have an owner who doesn't have any money left, that was a lot of money they cost to buy them, but they're a decent team. They played well down the stretch of last season. When you have a Cy Young winner in Kershaw and a guy who probably should have been a league MVP in Matt Kemp, that is a good baseball team. So the Diamondbacks may be better, but so is their competition.
I'll give you the Giants. I do agree they will be better than they were a year ago, mostly from health. But the guys that were healthy last year, Tim Lincecum still puts up the good advanced statistics, but it all boils down to wins and losses. He was an under 500 pitcher a year ago.
Well, that's because they didn't score any runs.
Well, the Dodgers, I agree, are a little bit better, but I also agree with your point. When you spend $2 billion on a team, how do you pay your players at that point? Colorado, San Diego, my final point on what I really like more about this Diamondbacks team and why I think they'll win 94 games is, kind of a follow-up on what I brought up earlier, and that's the starting rotation. Last year, you had a lot of uncertainty going into the year. You had Ian Kennedy, who grasped that #1 role, 21-game winner. Daniel Hudson at #2, very solid. You throw a Trevor Cahill in at #3, a guy that was a #1 starter in Oakland a year ago, a guy that's been an all-star, a guy that's got 40 wins already in his major league career, and a guy that's a ground ball pitcher who won't be fazed by the hitter-friendly conditions at Chase Field. That adds up. And there was a revolving door at that fifth starter last year. So even if Joe Saunders or Josh Colmenter does falter, as a lot of people expect them to, there is a line of guys waiting to take that role. Patrick Corbin, Tyler Skaggs, Trevor Bauer, who a lot of people believe should be in this rotation now. I think even a year later, the Diamondbacks are in a much more healthy position than they were in a year ago, pitching-wise.
Well, pitching depth they have in spades, but the problem is if you're relying on rookies, guys who haven't proven at the major league level, even in a fourth or fifth starter role like a Bauer or Skaggs or Corbin would be, you can't bank on them going down the stretch in a playoff push, especially in a
You can't bank on it, but we saw it last year with Colmenter. He was huge in
But
that
he came up early in the season, and he wasn't a top prospect. And even then, can you expect that every time? Some pitchers flame out. It happens. So you can't rely on them, especially if it's going to be a tight race. And also, if I was a betting man, and I'm not saying I am, and I'm not saying I'm not, I am. The Vegas line for the Diamondbacks is 86.5 wins right now. And while they're not the experts, I mean, I don't know what they had them for last season. I'm sure they surpassed the total, whatever it was. But I don't think people are saying the Diamondbacks are a bad team, but just 94 as a whole is a lot of wins for a team that isn't great. They're very good, but they're not great.
They're on the cusp of being great.
The cusp?
I will say it. The cusp. C-U-S-P. Look it up. We've been heard. Now it's your time to be heard. Find us on the Face-Off page on ArizonaSports.com. Vote in the poll. Do you think it'll be above 94 wins or below 94 wins? And we'll have some fun when the season's over. Get involved in the Face-Off. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back with another Face-Off soon here on ArizonaSports.com.